Hey everybody, Ryan McCaffrey with IGN. I'm joined by Brian Albert, reviewer of fine video games. Ryse, Son of Rome.
Yep.
Don't know if we quite call it a fine video game. Certainly not a bad one.
Not a bad one.
This is one. I agree with your review. You gave this a 6.8 for the Xbox
this was a
One.
launch title.
Launch title, day one launch title. Arguably still the best looking game on the system.
Oh, it looks wonderful, yeah.
Now we're going to take a look at the PC version. They've ported it over to PC. This is a game, I love this game despite its flaws. It's one of those where I love it anyway. I love the story in this game. It's so gorgeous to look at. The set pieces are incredible. But yes, the combat is shallow. It's repetitive.
Yeah,
and
there's
the boss battles too.
There's something strange about this game. I'm compelled to play it. The story, especially the sort of supernatural angle of it, I like it.
Yeah, me too.
It's interesting and well told, and I never got lost, even though it's sort of out of chronological order. But I just can't overlook some of this game's combat.
And that's understandable. So talk to me now. You're reviewing the PC version, just seeing what's changed, how it feels.
Yep.
Should we play this with a gamepad? Is mouse and keyboard fine? I mean, talk to me about the PC version.
So here's the big thing. If you didn't like Ryse or were waiting for a reason to play it, this is not so much better that you need to go out and get it.
Right.
There are more graphical options, and it does look better when cranked up. We have it on Ultra.
This is nice looking, and this is all. I mean, this is a real-time cutscene. This is not a pre-rendered thing.
So it looks better than you remember it, although it looked great before. You can play with a gamepad, but because the combat is so simple that it's pretty fine to do keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
I've used both; they're both totally fine.
Okay.
Other than that, this has the 4 DLC packs that came out for Xbox One.
Okay.
So
good.
all the co-op maps are there, and there's also a survival mode, which is sort of like, hey, you're bleeding out, so you have to keep killing things to stay alive.
Okay.
Other than that, it's the same game, same campaign.
So that actually matches because for Xbox One, they just released the Legendary Edition, which is the same exact thing. It has all that content. So
right. I'm going to go ahead and skip out of the cutscene here and get to the combat.
Let's move on to the actual game here. See what this bad boy looks like on PC.
Looks
gameplay. And
yep. This is 1080p. We have full anti-aliasing, shadows, textures, shaders, all set up to max right now.
So it's all cranked on 1080p, but if you've got a good rig and a good monitor, could we crank this to 2K resolution? You could pump this up.
I believe
right?
so. We've put it on a 2560 by 1600 monitor, which is the big ones we have here.
Yeah.
It looks good on that. It scales well. Obviously, you need a better PC to run it at that resolution,
sure.
but
this
is kind of a sweet spot.
It's running on CryEngine 3, which I think is a fairly. It runs on decent rigs, right? It's not a completely menacing engine, in that you need like all sorts of horsepower for it. Right?
No, we're a long way from the old "can it run Crysis" joke.
Yes,
like Crytek's done well at making its games play on scaling hardware. So as you can see, jumping right back into the combat here. Yep. It's the same, block, bash, and stab things.
I gotta say they've kept the color coding for the finishing moves. But your keyboard keys aren't color coded.
Right.
So I guess that'd probably take a little bit of getting used to. Okay, which key is yellow? Which key is blue?
It just corresponds to left mouse click, right mouse click now, and they teach you that right at the beginning. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, left mouse is blue.
That's easy.
Yeah, no, it's not hard at all. And then eventually, maybe a couple times you'll get it wrong or whatever, but eventually it'll feel just as natural as X
that
and Y.
seems like a fairly intuitive way to do it.
Yeah. No, you will not have trouble transitioning over.
Get that arm.
I swear sometimes
Throat. Oh.
I think some of the moves are always the same color, but I'm not sure, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, the next one is blue for sure.
I remember it being, you could definitely memorize the animations.
Yeah, like when the guy's on the ground and you face stomp him, that's always yellow.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I'm jamming yellow because I know it's yellow, it'll be blue sometimes. Like they fake you out. They know what you're doing. That guy had a bad day.
So you had a bad day.
Oh no, we have to stop. Don't do that.
Stop
please.
the recording. This is awful.
So yeah, this is a pretty early story mission. I think it's level 3.
Yeah.
It's before he's like the big old bad general guy. Pretty cool though. Like the story starts out with Rome is sort of in ruins, and then the
definitely
Emperor's
don't give any spoilers, because the story of this game is fantastic.
I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I won't spoil it.
All right,
let's say it starts out bad, and then you figure out why it got bad.
Right.
And it's not difficult to follow. Very interesting. Some cool supernatural stuff. So yeah, you should check it out for that. I'd say that's the biggest reason to check it out.
It's a shame that we probably, from the way it looks now, probably won't get a sequel to this game. There's there was the big problem, the financial issues over at Crytek, and Ryse 2 was allegedly canceled.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Crytek stuff in the past few months.
Yeah, it would theoretically be a Microsoft game, I think, and it doesn't look too good for a sequel. So this may be all we're going to get, but which do you prefer this on PC or on Xbox One?
I typically prefer PC over consoles anyway.
Yeah.
So I do like it better on here. I like the graphical options. Having all the DLC is nice, and not having to pay for all of that.
Are the loading time? There goes an arm. Are the loading times better? Anything?
They weren't bad in the first place.
Yeah.
They might be a little better, but it's nothing substantial. The big thing that actually really is disappointing me, and we're in single player right now, is the survival mode. You start out bleeding out in the match, and you have to kill things to get your health back. And it's basically just like, hey, combat is already repetitive, so now just to do that repetitive thing even faster than you would have before.
Right.
So it doesn't really alleviate any of the problems.
Now,
that said, go for it.
I was just saying, so at one PC advantage here, it looks like this already gorgeous game, if you've got the machine, it looks like this is running at 60.
Yeah,
we don't have the counter on.
We don't have
now.
like fraps up or anything like that. But yeah, it runs super well. The animation looks really good as it did before. Especially like, it's kind of a silly thing to point out, but like reflections on armors and on the floor and stuff, it just looks amazing in this game.
Absolutely, no, it's not silly at all.
And Crytek's thing, nice, yeah. Crytek's thing is like making great looking jungles. And there's a level, I think, after this that's a jungle, and it looks incredible.
So gorgeous, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this game is full of beautiful scenery. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Crytek, they know what they're doing when they make environments. Yep. If you do like a shield bash, the next one is a quick hit usually, and it's almost always blue. So you'll get into the rhythm of it. But yeah, eventually, we're still too early for them to have it, but eventually enemies will be unblockable, and they'll have like a red charge, and you have to roll out of the way. I don't normally roll if I don't need to.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you certainly, obviously, could play with an Xbox Gamepad on this if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you're feeling like you want to, yeah, why not? It's just there's no like crazy chain combos or anything that might be cumbersome on a keyboard.
Right.
It's mostly just left click, right click, shift.
Well, it's
button.
good. I mean, so that means it's just whatever your preference is. You're not going to sort of suffer on either control scheme.
Right. Yeah. It's not like some fighting games. Some people can play on a keyboard, but that seems like madness to most people. You just wouldn't do that.
Nice rejection over and burns him with it.
Totally meant to do that, by the way.
Yeah. We'll finish this group up and wrap up here, I think.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so obviously, in your original verdict box, you'd said amazing art and audio. That obviously still carries over to the PC version.
Yep.
Interesting story. We talked about that.
Yep.
Unique multiplayer. Still just as interesting. The two-player Coliseum mode, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned the other.
The shifting Coliseum is pretty cool. How it rearranges itself.
Yeah.
That's neat. And also the idea that you both have bonuses that executions grant, so you kind of want to help each other stay alive in different ways. That's kind of cool.
And then on the minus side, we said you'd said limited combat, which we sort of discussed. It's the depth of the combat it doesn't really get any deeper.
Right. It feels like it's getting deeper for 2 to 3 levels, but then it hits a wall and just doesn't keep going.
And then it's the rest of the other 6-8 hours of the game are the same combat system over and over. And you mentioned the repetitive boss battles as well.
Yeah, one of the bosses, or a few of them actually, they just kind of like get mad and regenerate their health, and then you fight them again, and you don't fight them a different way. You just fight them again.
Yeah, it just prolongs the battle.
Yep. Let's cut this guy's arm off. He doesn't need it.
Oh, we'll end on this.
So
Have
brutal.
some. Well, Brian Albert, thank you very much for more on Ryse. Hopefully, it has a future. We shall see. You're already in the right place here on IGN. This is our Ryse Son of Rome review commentary on the PC version. Thanks for tuning in.